Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Latina Success Podcast. Today, in this podcast, I have two amazing ladies here. As always, Elizabeth, but also we have a very special guest, Anaya. So she is here to talk a topic that I think I really love about this topic, what it means to be an entrepreneur after college. And welcome, Anaya. Thank you so much for in the space with us. And well, I'm eager to hear about your journey.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Means a lot and excited to share and talk about this. I'll give you a bit of a background of, I guess, the entrepreneurial journey first. I was a pandemic college student in my freshman year. 2020 was the year, and in March, all of a sudden, the second semester, everyone said, go home. So I went back to where my parents live now, which is Geneva, Switzerland. And I had a lot of time to read, to think about things, reflect. And I think as a lot of people, I got very interested in the NFT space. So did a bit more digging and, I was like, you know what, I want to just do something in this space. Seems so exciting, has places to go. And so when we came back to college in fall, I went to the entrepreneurship club there and I basically just said, hey guys, I want to do something here. I love NFTs. Who's with me? Like, let's do something. Found a team there and basically we started working on an experiential NFT platform. Ended up somehow, I don't know, I didn't have the technical skills to build it out. So I recruited a bunch of interns. I went all across to all the different universities. And somehow before I knew it, by spring semester, I was managing a team of 11 interns. I had my two co-founders and we launched the app. It was a great experience. It taught me a lot, that entire journey. And most importantly, the importance of, ensuring that there was a demand for this and that we had done enough research and we were way too excited and drawn by the industry trends and we didn't end up doing, the due diligence that was required. So that required a lot of pivots, a lot of changes, but I immediately loved, the feeling of being in an entrepreneurial setting. I'm like, but it's still what I want to do, maybe just in a different lens. And that's eventually how I pivoted and kind of founded the Choking Space, which is a one-stop solution for wellness. We personalize, your wellness needs, matching you with the ideal coach. And now been working on that full time, graduated in May, this past May, and been working on that.
Wow. And what led you to, so that's amazing. I think you definitely were bitten by the bug of, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to create something, but it's specifically for the token space, because from NFTs to the token space, they're not within the same industry. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
What happened? Or like, what's the story behind the idea, or like why you wanted to start that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, there's a common phrase of when you look back, the dots somehow connect and you never know how it's going to. And that was weirdly, although how different it is, what's ended up happening. So when we were working on the experiential NFT marketplace, we got a request from a company to make all personalized NFTs for all of their clients as a holiday gift. So we said, okay, cool idea, like let's work on it. So we did that. And that kind of opened up our eyes into the corporate gifting space of, people are trying to do something different. No one wants to give the traditional chocolate and wine and, all of these generic things. They want something personalized that will build that relationship. So that started thinking about, okay, corporate gifting, what's missing here? What are people looking for? What exists? And at that point, we had gotten into the BU accelerator program. So that really forced us to do our user interviews. We talked to over 200, HR professionals, company executives, and understanding what is the gap here. And it turns out that that there was something missing here, and wellness was something where we also felt like could come in here well, and something a bit different. So we piloted with corporate gifting, and then the companies were like, "Hey, we love this idea, but you're way too new. We need to have." You need to be a bit more established before we partner in a bigger scale. So then we launched a B2C wellness gifting platform, which is the same concept, but you can basically gift someone online 40-minute coaching session. And that we launched in November as a result of that. And then last month, because of that, sooner than we expected, we learned about the employee benefits space. And we said, okay, this is actually a great angle other than just gifting, which is more occasion based. Benefits is something that is a longer term commitment and also allows each user to be able to have their full wellness journey seen through rather than just one session. So I know it's a long term part of the whole spiel, but essentially one way or another it connected and led us to, what we're doing now.
That's great. I think you did a lot of like the path that you're describing is very similar to what we do in, when you bring in a customer, it's a company, but you start with one part of the company, one team, one, just one, segment. And then you start finding out like how can you provide products and services to the rest of the organization, especially when they're large and complex.
Yeah.
So I think you went from the gifting into the corporate world, and you kind of learn like what else is there, how can you be of value to that, to that segment, to the corporate like enterprise level kind of segment. So that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
I think I'm curious. I have met a lot of entrepreneurs in my life, and one of the things that I always ask is like, it's not an easy task, right? You have a lot of ups and downs and a lot of rejection some of the times. And for you to be so young, what do you think was the really a spark to get you here, right? Did you think you inherited that? Did you think it was something that as soon as you see, like you were saying, oh, when I was doing, having the interns that really say, I want to be here. How do you think that a spark of the entrepreneur start with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it definitely ties back to my family. Can very much trace it back there. So my grandfather, when he started his business, it was a very ground up kind of story where, it started with nothing and had that motivation to keep going. And he just saw an industry which he felt, there was potential in. And, took him 10 years working with my grandmother to every day in, converting their studio into their workplace, into their dining room and again. And, they achieved that dream. And then similarly, firsthand, when I was growing up, my dad, he joined the family business with my grandfather, where in the diamond industry, but he also had an entrepreneurial spirit. And so he started a restaurant in New York, which ended up he felt getting to his partner. He didn't want to go forward with it. He started a consumer goods product, also didn't end up working out. And in this whole street, we were growing up, but like failure was so normalized. Like it was in a way in which he talked about it not as a failure but as learning, and that was so, I would say, inspiring to see growing up, because so many times, like with when I talk to my friends who grew up, they see their parents in their stable jobs. And they see them, being a little bit less risk adverse and thinking that, okay, to achieve success, I need to be in a stable place. I don't want to take risks to affect my family. And I think that's very fair. But because our experience was so different, the way he shaped his journey was always in learning and trying and trying and trying again until today he does that. And, now he's found his path as well. I think that was, when I was going into it and I talked to my family, they were like, you know what, like go for it. And no surprise there. So, definitely was always been very inspired by them growing up.
So nice. I feel, like we shared that story a lot. My friend went through too many entrepreneur journeys. It was failure for me. Like you say, it was not even I will talk as a failure, right? More like it didn't work. Why not? Let's move on, do the next thing. And I see that this is why it's very hard to be an entrepreneur if you haven't had that background or you don't have those peers around you that are, willing to take those risks. What do you think has been the most challenge part, especially being you that young, right? And being an entrepreneur?
The biggest challenge? The biggest challenge, I think, as I get mature and find that that internal like base to hold me steady. A lot of times, I feel like I'll take things personally. So when facing those rejections, I'll think, what am I doing wrong? Like, what is lacking in me? Well, like, where can I do better? And I really rely on my support system when I call them up and ask them, and learning from their wisdom and years of experience, they always tell me, look at what the external factors are. Look at things that you can change. So maybe when you're talking to a company and they say no, maybe it's not the right time. I mean, maybe they don't, maybe they like it, but they don't have the resources to invest in you right now. Or maybe it's something that's lacking in the product. So what are they looking for that you don't have? What can you improve in the product? Where can you do better? So externally, when you look at these factors and you don't only put it on yourself, I think that has been a really big, skill that I'm trying to develop, because oftentimes, yeah, it's difficult to not take it personally.
Yeah, you're definitely taking the route of like learning on the job. So, and I think it's very rewarding and yet difficult. It's but it's very magical as well, because you can, there's so many things can be created that you probably haven't heard about them, and you will be able to manifest them in some way just because you're putting so much focus and energy on them. So I think that's great, and you have a great story. So right now, um, what is the how many companies are you working with? What can you tell us more about your customer base at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, like as I mentioned, in November we launched our B2C platform. So that was for everyday users to be able to gift online wellness coaching sessions personalized to your recipient, to others or yourself. And we got over 200 sessions completed in the first 2 months, which was amazing. And we got a lot of great feedback from that. And one of the feedback was, I wish my employers would offer me something like this. So that's also the other dot that connected at that point. And last month, we started going and pivoting more to B2B and the employee benefit space. So I didn't really start with any connections in the space. Again, I've not had much industry experience, but I am super annoying with networking. So I'll keep on annoying people in LinkedIn until, I'm like, please, can you talk to me? And ended up, so far, I've had over 60 conversations with HR professionals, and we got 6 letters of intent from companies and starting 2 pilot programs next month. So.
That's amazing. I mean, the wellness space it's definitely something that's needed, and something that I personally searched for on my own, because there wasn't anything. And I think this is great. Like there should be more of this, like from the employee benefits perspective, because people spend most of their time at work. But when you come to work, you just don't bring yourself, like the version of you that's gonna do the tasks every day. You bring in, what's happening at home, what happened to you yesterday, last year, what's happening to you around you. So you definitely, in order for productivity, or even just for the sake of the company's goals to go in the right direction and to be on track, you need to have people that can feel well at work and have support when they're not. So this is definitely something that I fully support. I'm so glad that you are providing, at least starting to have those conversations to bring attention to it. And I hope that more companies sign up and join you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I have a question, and at the same time thinking like wellness is something that we sometimes don't understand how important it is for our careers, right? Like sometimes we underestimate like the value of wellness. And I think Elizabeth was saying a good point, right? It's not only here, I'm here just to work. I have a life.
Yeah.
But for me, wellness, I would think as a part of like how my mental health is doing, but also what other things can help me, right? It's not just about like, oh, I'm having sessions, but I'm also having exercising, right? Having good habits of eating well, having breaks between, like, for instance, customer success, we are on calls all the time. And people has a lot of emotions. Sometimes you need to let go, the anger or the sadness part. fixing problems. So how do you see the wellness part, and how do you integrate it, with the people that you work along?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exactly the way that both of you were saying. There's so many different components of wellness in which it's very easy to box it up into certain categories of things that may be affecting you, but in reality, our life is so multifaceted that there's so many different areas that we can understand more and we can work on. And I think that's what we really aim to do, is making it easy to have that one stop solution, which gives you, like you said, like whether it's sleep or nutrition or fitness or even women's health. Like we have coaches who coach in pregnancy and postpartum and menopause and even like monthly menstruation. And I did like even a Tai Chi like class. Actually, surprisingly, it's great for cramps and for like dealing with that pain. So there are all these different methods that we can use, and a lot of times we're limited to certain categories because that's what we know or that's what is provided to us. But really trying to use now like this, we have the we have the privilege of having the online world in our fingertips. So we can leverage so many different global practices of wellness and learn from that to address what may be most beneficial for me may not be the most beneficial for you. So it's trying to find that what works the best for you, and giving our users an easy way to have that.
Yeah, and wellness is such a space that it's been, I think, for most of us, and I'm saying us because I've done this on my own personal growth journey, is that I've gone and searched for, people, resources, retreats, people that actually, and I've done it, or I basically customized my own journey, but I've never got that from a place of work. That would have been a different situation, had I had that benefit. Anyway, there's always no regrets, but there's definitely the need for something like this. And like you said, there's the body side, there's the emotional, the mental, and the energetic side, which I believe is. I'm also an energy practitioner. I loved it so much that I became a Reiki practitioner as well.
I love it.
Because I understand the benefits of it, but that was part of my own journey and my own healing. But no one talked to me about these things. No one told me that, how the benefits of ice baths or breathing shops or, or meditation, yoga, and so many things are out there. No one really talked to me about it at work. I had to go and search on my own. And I think it's due time for all these great resources that exist to be put to the forefront for as part of that. How can an employee, especially in the corporate world, how can an employee find that and your employer enable that for you if possible?
Yeah, and I think, just to add to that, there's also been like a huge generational shift now, right? With like the Gen Z workforce coming in, especially post-pandemic, and just the rate of like Gen Z quitting on average every 12 months, they're quitting because they're like, if we don't feel valued, if we don't feel like you care about us, and if we don't feel like we can make our work around our life and not our life around work, then we don't want to be here. And I think them getting up and just leaving is forcing companies to really think about, oh no, like before, like wellness was a nice to have thing, but now if we want to retain the current workforce, it's a need to have thing. And so I think that has also been like a huge shift where previously in prior generations, like people just, it wasn't the same way. People were not quitting like as fast and not, just demanding, I think, more. And I think now with the new demands, it's more also coming from the workforce thing, telling companies that this is something you need to be giving us. Like, we're not going to stand for you, just expecting us to pour our whole life into work and then, not understanding how we're going to be dealing with that in our life. So I think, I wish that was the case, but I'm glad again that change is coming and that shift is coming now.
Yeah. And I will add, for instance, I work in a lot of places where there is a lot of women representation in these industries. And one of the biggest problems I see is, like you say, like even talking about my period, right? It's like, you just have men around you. You cannot tell in the meeting, hey, sorry, I'm crampy today, right?
Yeah.
You feel that isolation. and they start feeling like, oh, I need, to have somebody to talk to and that understand a little more about your journey. And sometimes it's not necessarily the friend, right? Because a friend is going to be always telling you, oh, yes, whatever, you need somebody else. So the wellness around women is something very important. And, as a companies, I feel that they need to push a little bit more on this side because we are more complicated than men. That's no, right? The hormones sometimes affect, like you say, even having a woman pregnant, being working, right? Sometimes it can be a stress of if the pregnancy is going well or no, what is going to happen after they got pregnant. Um, when they deliver the baby, they have also a lot of hormonal adjustment, right? And they have to keep a diet to breastfeeding and so on. So how as a company and making sure that the 2 or 3 few women I have in my company are also happy. Right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's also like now talking to all of these kind of HR professionals, that's one of the biggest areas of interest. So like, oh, tell me more about, your menopause experts. Tell me more about this because our employees have been asking us. Like the women are now coming also to their employer and saying, we need help with it. Like it's taking, it can take 4 to 8 years of your life where you have no idea what's going on. And that's scary because, like you said, like you need someone, maybe someone more than your friend to actually help you understand it. And, like articles, videos, books, they're great, but that's not that's difficult sometimes to only consume content in a one-sided direction and not being able to have it personalized to you. So absolutely, it's super relevant, and definitely needs to be addressed more in the workspace.
Yeah, just like anything, it needs context, right? Like you can read about, women's cycles and what happens when you're pregnant, but that's on its own. But we are multifaceted people, like you said, we're doing many things. So we need to put it in context. So then from the perspective of the workplace, how can employers support their employees, the females that will be going through these phases? And I'm sure they have their own stats in terms of like how many people are from whatever age to whatever age, or which ones are going through certain stages, or even on just going through an illness. And that's another thing, when people are going, through an illness or have a parent or grieving, there's so many things that are happening. You have to bring yourself to work, but you're bringing yourself plus all the emotions, all the things that are happening around you. So there's definitely a lot of like the wellness space, like we said, is so big. There's a lot of training needed for individuals, a lot of education needed for leadership and management, awareness and monitoring and support, and the actual act of being part of so many resources that are out there that coaches can provide, that practitioners can provide, and there's just a lot. There's just so much.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
Do you feel that as a woman and being an entrepreneur and be so young, have you had any like challenges because of that?
I mean, one cool thing with being an entrepreneur, right off the bat, is that we can really like create our own culture. So for me, like I have my amazing like CTO co-founder, and when we were building our culture of hiring our interns and getting people on the team, we definitely wanted to like give that importance to women as well. And that was something important for me too. When I was looking for a co-founder, I would love to, anyway, women are so underrepresented in tech. So if I could find a female CTO, that would be great. Like obviously like not just gonna look for that, but ended up working out. But of course, like other than the internal, externally, yeah, like sometimes it is a bit awkward. Like I every time when I go to events or whether or panels or all of this and things to learn from, like recently even the other day I was at one and you just see the entire room full of men and like older men, and then you have like maybe a couple of women spread out, and the women end up just congregating like the 5 of us who have been there because we're like it's sometimes difficult to just walk up to like a huge big group of men and just I don't know, feel included in that. And so I think that definitely is a struggle of sometimes just, looking around the room and not really finding a familiar space to relate to, or a journey to relate to. So yeah, and definitely depending on the industry, that's more skewed one way or the other. But yeah, that sometimes can be a challenge.
I think it's definitely getting better. Like when I started, I was the only one in my class, in my computer science class, women, female. Then when I started all the startups that I've been part of, I was the only one. I remember when I got pregnant, I was so excited to tell this room full of men that
Yeah,
like, I was happy. I didn't care.
yeah.
Just letting you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I see that definitely is still working, right? But like for instance, I'm co-funding this company and I see the challenge of pitching for funding. Sometimes you see the difference between pitching being a woman and when you see somebody pitching being a man. Are you running for funding?
Sorry, am I?
Are you running for funding?
Soon, yeah, actually, just working on the deck now and meeting with a couple of, people, in the following weeks. So getting ready for that and starting to fundraise. Yeah, very shortly.
Yeah. Well, I will be happy to hear the challenge. I think that, a lot of people doesn't understand how hard that process is, right? It is like you believe in your baby. It's like describing, I have this baby that I want to introduce to somebody, right?
Yeah.
You get a lot of feedback, great feedback, but also you get downs. But I can see the token space being the right product for a lot of companies and great product because I think it's a market need that is really going to be solving a lot of problems at the moment, right? That is not just giving insurance and giving access to blah, blah, blah. It's giving them a tool to really get better and become happier at the company, become happier in their personal life. And if you have a happy employee, right, it's going to be very easy that you're going to have a lot of productivity from that person.
Absolutely. Yeah, you said it exactly well. Yeah, very well. You did it for me. I didn't have to give the pitch.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any more questions on my end. Do you have any questions, Elizabeth?
No. So I guess the only just clarifying, how can people get involved? Because you do have right now the B2C approach. So how can you invite people to go, and what can they do? Because I love the gifting part. So I would love for you to say that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So two options. Either you can go to thetokenspace.com or you can download our app, The Token Space. And basically, once you go to either of the platforms, you can gift someone or yourself the 40-minute online session. And it'll be, again, like personalized, where you don't have to decide what someone needs, or you don't have to worry about filtering through and choosing for yourself. We are going to match you with the perfect coach for you to book with. And yeah, I mean, it's a super easy process. Please, I think anytime to your wellness journey.
I love it. I love it so much. That it's amazing. I love the gifting part, that I can think about someone that I know that they could, I think they will value it. I think they will be good, and it will definitely be valuable. There's no way around it. So I'm so happy that you guys are doing this.
And that you say it, sometimes it's funny how we think about the money, right? Like we can spend a lot of money in fixing the car, right? But when it comes to us and it's like, oh, we pay this for a 45-minute session, it's like, oh no, this is too much, right? But the car, I don't care, I will pay it because I need it. But we need to be good ourselves as well. So someone that opportunity as a gift, right, is saying, I care about you, I care about your wellness. And then probably when they realize the change, they will be willing to say, I need this more than once. But sometimes we need to help other people to understand that they need it. So
normalize it. We need to normalize wellness. Wellness is, we need to normalize that we have to take care of ourselves, and we can help others take care of them as well. But we need to have these conversations. What are the different things that we can do? Yes. Thank you, Anaya.
Thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you, for this amazing conversation. Also been learning a lot, and thank you, for this,
No, thank you, ladies. Thank you, Anaya, so much for bringing, all your entrepreneur journey, talking with us, and also talking about the token space. And well, we are going to be looking forward for the big success and hopefully seeing it in every company.
Thank you. Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
You
You
take
too.
care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.